Hello everyone. Today our topic is how to do group by and aggregate on a data frame by using single column. So in this video, we are going to see about below content like how to group by and aggregate on data frame with single column and by using aggregate functions like sum, max, min, average, count, mean, and count distinct. And we'll see one more scenario like how to apply conditional aggregation and standard deviation and format underscore number, sort and order by. So these are all the so up to here, these are all the aggregate functions we are going to see and standard deviation and reorder by and sort. So these are the topics we are going to cover in this notebook. So first I'm importing the required functions here. So mainly aggregate functions and I'm importing functions as if. So this is my sample data frame. So by using spark.create data frame, I'm creating this data frame. So here I'm passing data as this sample data and my columns as this one. So these are all the columns I'm passing here. And here I'm printing my schema by using print schema and I'm displaying my sample data frame. So this is my schema of this sample data frame. And parallelly, we can observe here also our sample data frame schema. And this is my data frame. And if you observe this data frame, so mainly I have employee name and department, state, salary. So mainly we are going to concentrate on these four columns and majorly department and salary. So if you observe department wise, so we have sales department. So three columns we have, three rows we have sales. And we have one more department that is finance. So here we have four rows. And one more we have marketing. So that we have two rows. And one more admin, the department is admin, we have one row. So total we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So four departments we have in this data frame. So now first we'll see our first scenario, how to apply aggregate function sum. So here what I'm trying to do here is I want to find out the salary per department, total salary per department wise. So how can I achieve this? So this we can achieve by using group by, applying group by function on department column. Then we'll find the sum of salary for each department using aggregate function called sum. So that means if you observe here, there are 2 points here. One is total salary and per department. So that means, so this is our department column. As I told, we have four department types here. So sales, finance, marketing, and admin. So if I consider first sales department, so in this I want to find out the sum of salary. So that is total salary per department. So for this sales department, if you add up these three values, we will get a total salary for this particular department. At the same time, for finance, we have total four values here. So if you sum up these four salary values, we'll get total salary. At the same time here, for marketing department, we have two values. If you do sum up, we'll get total salary of marketing department. At the same time, we have single value here. So here, this is the total value of total salary of this particular department. So finally, what we can do is, if I do group by on this department, first it will divide into groups. So this is one group, this is one, and this is one, this is one. So total, it divides into four groups. And on top of that, if I apply aggregate function, this one sum, so it will apply on this particular salary column. So before going to this, we'll see the syntax, different ways we can write syntax group by. So here this video is mainly concentrate on how to apply group by on single column. So for this, we have three methods, three different methods we can apply group by function. So df is my sample data frame. So dot group by is my function. So inside group by, I'm passing the column. So that is our department column. And since I want total salary, so here I'm using aggregate function called sum, and inside that I'm passing salary column. So this is one method. And this aggregate function we can change as per our requirement. So as I mentioned here, so we can apply these many aggregate functions here. So here, since I want to calculate total salary, so I used sum. Suppose if you want to find out maximum salary, then you can use maximum function. If you want to find out minimum salary, then you can find out minimum salary. At the same time, average and count. Count is for number of rows in each group, and mean value and count to distinct value. So first I used sum function here. So here you can use any of the aggregate function. And in second method, group by, in group by, my column name is department, and here I'm adding aggregate dot agg, and inside that we can pass our aggregate function. So here my requirement is total salary. So here I'm using sum aggregate function. So sum of salary. So this same we can pass here. So additionally, what I'm passing here, alias. So whenever you apply aggregate function, so we need to pass alias. So alias is the column name. If you don't pass this alias, it takes default column name. Default column name it will take. If you give alias name, it will take this one as the column name. And one more thing. So this aggregate mainly we'll use for whenever we require multiple aggregate functions. So here I used single aggregate function. Whenever you want single aggregate function, generally we'll use this one, and we can use this also. We can use this also, but normally we use this dot aggregate whenever we require whenever you want to apply multiple aggregate functions. Like here applied sum. Suppose you want to add max salary, minimum salary. So those cases we can add aggregate, but it is fine to add aggregate even for single aggregate function. And third method is dot aggregate, and inside that we need to pass the dictionary as key value. So key as column name and value as aggregate function. So now to calculate this total salary per department, so we can use either of these three methods. And as I told here, instead of sum, you can use any of the aggregate function. So syntax I given here. So if you want count, you will write like this. This is sum, and maximum of salary, minimum of salary, average of salary, and mean of salary. Okay, so now we understood how to write the syntax for group by for different methods. Now we'll jump onto our actual thing. So that is how to calculate total salary per department. If you see here I written 3 lines of code. So these 3 lines of code is this one, 3 different methods. So last 2 methods I commented out. So here I'm trying with first method. So that is this one. So here what will happen if you apply group by on department column, first it will group all the departments. As we discussed initially, total we have 4 groups. That means 4 departments we have. And if you add sum here, for each department, it will add the sum of salary. So that means first we'll go for sales. So what I will do, I will open this screenshot instead of going every time there. Yeah. So first I want to do it for sales. So for sales, what I'll do, if you see here sales, here first three rows are sales, and these three values, it will do sum up 90,000, 86, 81. So if you do sum up, you will get value this one, 2 lakh 25, 2 lakh 57,000. At the same time, for finance department, we have total 4 rows. So that means these 4 values will get add. The sum of these values, that is this value, 3 lakh 51,000. At the same time, for marketing, so marketing, we have 2 rows. So that means 80,000, 90,000, it will add up. So that it will give you total value. And for admin, we have only 1 row. So that will pick up only 51,000. Okay, so next, we'll go for here. So here we saw about how to calculate total salary. So here I'm trying to apply other aggregate functions also, like max, mean, average. So first what I'm doing, calculating the maximum salary of each department. So that means for each department, I'm finding maximum salary. So here, so this is my first department. This is sales. So from these three values, what is the maximum value? That is 90,000. So this 90,000 I will get here as my maximum value. So this line of code will give you here for this particular. See here total I given 3 display. So one is for maximum salary, second is for minimum salary, third is average salary. So 3 displays I given. So first data frame is for maximum salary. So second one is for minimum salary, and third one is for average salary. So now we are discussing about first one, that is maximum salary per department wise. So for sales, we saw that 90,000 is the maximum value. So next we'll see for finance. So here for finance, among these 4 values, 99,000 is the highest value. So that is maximum value. So here we are getting 99,000. At the same time, for marketing, so for marketing, we'll see. So marketing, we have 2 values. So here maximum value is 91,000. So we are getting 91,000. And for admin, since we have only one value, so either maximum or minimum value, it will be 51,000. So here 51,000. So next line of code is df.groupby on department and minimum of salary. So that means for each department wise, I want to find the minimum salary. So that is this one. So minimum salary. So first we are going to check for sales department. So here we have 3 values. Here we have 3 values. So among this minimum value is this one, 81,000. So that is 81,000. And next for finance. So in finance, we have total 4 rows. So in this minimum value is 79,000. So that is this one. And next for marketing, we have two values. So among this minimum value is 80,000. So minimum value is 80,000. And for admin, since we have only one row, so either maximum or minimum value, it is 51,000. And the third one is average salary. So average salary on department wise. So group by department dot average of salary. And if you see here, first for sales department. So here we have three rows. What will happen? It will sum up these three salary and it will divide by 3. So we will get this average value. And similar way for finance. So for finance, we have 4 rows. So it will sum up these 4 values and it will divide by 4. Then you will get this value for finance. At the same way, for marketing, so here we have 2 rows. If you add up these 2 values and if you divide by 2, you will get this average value. And for admin, since we have one row, one value, you'll get same. Whether it is maximum value, minimum value, or average value, we'll get same. So next, I'm going to find out the mean value. So now my aggregate function is mean. And if you observe here, I given 2 lines of code. So here inside mean function, I'm not passed any column here. And here I passed column as salary. So now first we'll see without passing uh, any column here, what will get result here. So here we have, first we are doing df.group by department. So department wise, and what happening, since I'm applying mean without mentioning column, what will happen in this particular data frame, how many integer columns are there? All the integer columns, it will do mean value. So for salary, for age, for bonus. For first department, for sales department, first it will look for first integer column, that is salary. So these 3 values mean it will display here. See here, this is the mean for sales department. And if you go for finance, these 4 values. So these 4 values mean it will add here. At the same way for marketing and admin also. And same thing applies for age and bonus column also. See here, same way it will add up these 3, and next it will add up for these 4, and next it will these 2, and next this one. Same way here also. So we'll get mean values. So that when if you don't pass any column, suppose if you pass any column here, so that means I want to get the mean values only for my column, that is salary. So department wise, since I mentioned only salary, I will get only salary here. So same result as what we discussed, same thing we'll get it here. So only difference is here I'm not mentioned any column here. So it considered all integer columns. Since I mentioned here column, so it considered only that particular column. So next we'll go for count function. So here we can write 2 different ways the count function. So first one is dot count and without passing any column here. And second method, as we discussed initial, our second method is dot agg, and inside that passing the aggregate function. So if you're passing inside the aggregate function, we need to pass this star. Inside count, we need to pass star. So since it is aggregate, we are we are mentioning alias. The column name is num underscore employees. And third one, we will see how to sort the values. So we'll see first count. So df.group by department, we know that we have 4 departments are there, and dot count means, so in each department, it will count how many records are there. So in sales, we have 3 values. That means 3 rows we have. So we'll get count as 3 here. At the same time, for finance, if you see here, for finance, we have 4 rows. So we'll get output as 4. At the same way, for marketing, we have 2 rows. For marketing, we have 2 rows. We'll get 2. And for admin, we'll get 1. For admin, we'll get 1. So this is about count. So next we'll come to this one, count star. And if you observe here, here I mentioned aggregate function count, but I'm not passed alias here. So it took default column name count. So since I'm passing here aggregate and I passed alias name and my column is num underscore employees. So I'm getting column name as num underscore employees, but same result will be same. So only method is different. So here I'm directly mentioned aggregate function count, and here I mentioned dot ag. And third one is, so after finding the count on department wise, then how to do sort. So how I want to do sort is based on count. See, up to here, up to this count, we'll get, this is the result. So this is the result. So on top of that, dot sort. So I'm doing sort by using count column. So my column is this one, count. So how I want to do sort is, I want to do ascending equal to true. So I want to do ascending these values. And if you see the result, see here, initial our output is like this 3, 4, 2, 1. So after doing ascending equal to, I think false or true, ascending equal to true, then we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so next we'll see about one more aggregate function, that is count distinct. So count is different, distinct is different. So count, what it does is it will ignore duplicate records. So it will count duplicate records also. But count distinct is it will ignore duplicate records. So here dot group by department, and here I'm using dot agg, and my aggregate function is count distinct on where I'm applying on state column, and I given alias as state underscore count. So my column name is this one, state underscore count. And now what I want to find out is on each department wise, I want to find out the distinct values based on state. So if you see here, our first department is this one, sales. So we have 3 rows. And since I want to since I mentioned count distinct of state. So if you see state, ny is there. So this duplicate record. So these two become 1, and 1 plus 1, 2. So for sales, we'll get 2. So here we'll get 2. So next, for finance, so here we have 4 rows, and if you see state, CA is there, so it will consider 1 record. So NY is there, it will consider 1 record. So total we will get 2. Our count is 2. For finance, it is 2. So next, for marketing, in marketing, we have CA and NY. So we don't have any duplicate, we will get count as 2. And for admin, we have only 1 record. So we'll get count as 1. See here, marketing 2 and admin 1. So this is about count distinct. So next we'll see about conditional aggregation. So conditional aggregation means suppose I want to find sum of salary only for NY employees. So that means earlier we find out sum of salary on department wise, the whole department, irrespective of whether uh, whether it is uh, different states. So here if you see state wise, so here we have two different states, but we considered only based on department. Suppose I want to do sum up based on department, and on top of department, I want to do sum up on state wise. So here our case, I want to do sum up only based on state, wherever state is equal to NY. So if you see in this particular department, state, I have these two rows. So these two rows means for this particular department, instead of sum up these three values, it will do sum up only these two values. So that means equal to NY. So for that, what I'm doing here is I'm importing when function here. So df dot group by department. So first what it will do, it will divide into number of departments. So 4 departments, and inside aggregate function. So what I need, sum of salary. So for that I'm writing sum here, sum function. So but inside, instead of mentioning column, what I'm mentioning here is to satisfy this one, I'm using when and otherwise here. So in when condition, what I'm doing here is df dot state is equal to ny. So that means df dot state is equal to ny. So that means these two. So if it is available, then what it telling, it consider to df dot salary. So in this case, so these two are satisfying. So it will do sum of these two values. Since it is not valid, it won't add up here. So now it will add only these two values. So what we'll get is 1,76,000 we'll get here for sales department. And similar way for next for finance department. So here we have 4 values here, and when condition is when state is equal to ny. So that is this one. So out of 4 rows, we have only 2 rows that belongs to ny, state equal to ny. So it will do sum up of these two values, 83, 79. So then our result will be this one, 1,62,000. At the same way, for marketing department, so here we have two values, but our state is only one record, that is ny. So it will consider only this one, 91,000. So that is this one. And next, if you go for admin, so here we have only one value, and here we don't have state ny. So it will give you 0. So sum of salary as 0. So how it is giving 0? First, it checking when condition. Since when condition is not satisfying, it going for otherwise condition. In otherwise condition, I given 0. So that is the reason it printing 0 here. So next method is sort. So after doing group by, how to do sort the values. So for doing sort, we have 3 different methods. So up to here it is same, group by on column, and aggregate is aggregate average. So this can be anything, average or sum, any of the aggregate function. So these two lines of code is same. And third one is sort. So this method we can write in 3 different ways. So like dot sort. So first we are passing call. So column name dot descending. So this is one method. one more method is dot sort. First we are writing descending. Inside that we are passing column name. So that is second method. So third method is dot sort. So first we are providing column name, and after that we are writing here ascending. So either it should be ascending equal to true or false. So total we have three methods to write the sort function. So here what I'm doing here is up to here this is fine. Group by and department. So we'll get four departments. So what I will do, I need to run this one. So one department is missing there. So here first is group by department. So group by departments, since we have four departments, we'll get four departments here. And after that, what is the aggregate function? Average of salary. So for each department, it will print you average value. And then what it does is, I think somewhere we did average value. Otherwise, what I will do before this, I will write without average. So it will be easy to understand. I will remove this sort function. I will write only this much. So what will happen on department wise? See here, now we are getting four departments. For each department, it will print you average salary. See here, it taking department wise how the source file is. So that means while doing group by, first we are getting sales, finance, marketing, admin. So it printing in that particular order. So here my requirement is I want to sort by using this average salary column. So that means now what will happen? Since I mentioned sort based on average salary, so that means average salary is this one. So since I mentioned I want in descending order, see here these values it will print here in descending order. See here this is the highest value from highest to lowest. See here. So it will do the sort in this way. And this writing the sort, total we have three methods. I written one of the method here. So next one is order by. So first I shown with how to sort the values based on sort method. Now we'll see how to do same thing by using order by method. So departments order by total salary. So that means after finding out the salary on each department, so I want to order by based on total salary. So here also what I will do, I will print first the total salary department wise without using order by. So if I do that, so I'll get four departments and aggregate function is sum of salary. So we already saw how it prints this sum of salary, and column name is given as total underscore salary. So this is the column. So each department wise, this is the sum of the salary. So now on top of this, what I written order by. How I want to order by this particular column, this total underscore salary, I want to get ascending equal to false. So since I mentioned ascending equal to false, it will display here in descending order. See here, we are getting from higher value to lower value. So same thing we are getting here also. So, but here I applied average function, but here I used sum function. So, but final our requirement is same, like the total salary, either total salary or total average I want it in descending order. So next one is standard deviation. So this standard deviation I'm importing from PySpark.sql.functions, this one. And at the same time, I'm importing format underscore number also. So this I will show you why I'm importing this format underscore number. So first what I'm doing, this is my sample data frame. Here I'm using select function, and inside select I'm giving passing standard deviation. This is my aggregate function, and this one I'm applying on salary column. And my column name is this one, alias standard deviation. So here I'm getting here my column name is this one, standard deviation. And what I'm getting, I'm applying on only salary column. So this for entire salary column, it will calculate the standard deviation. So that's why we're getting single column with single output. But if you see this standard deviation, so we are getting multiple decimal values here. So to avoid this one, if you want limit to either 1 or 2 or 3 decimals, we have to use format underscore number here. So same code, but only thing is before doing this standard deviation, I'm applying format underscore number. So format underscore number on standard deviation. So that means now my column is, this value is generated. So that means this column standard deviation and this value is generated. So on top of this value, I'm applying format underscore number. So up to where 2 decimals are given here. So up to 2 decimals are given. See here, we have a lot of decimals here. So after applying format underscore number, it is restricted to only 2 decimals. And alias is this one, standard to digits. Okay, so that's all about this video. So here maximum things I have covered on how to apply group by and different aggregate functions by using single column. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.